Question everything, for the truth shall not be televised. And that's for sure. So with that, so what do we do as Aboriginal Negroes of America when your back is against the wall and all nations are getting to come up over you and you can't get that same come up? We now know that when it comes to this country, the trickeries and the lies under this government is just exactly what it's going to be. You know, they talk about working hard in this country in order for you to achieve. But now we see that Martin Luther King told us the truth 100 about them giving their people an economic floor when they was giving out land all throughout the West and the Midwest for free, as well as building colleges so that they can be able to mechanize their land and so on. You know, you want to look up that video, that speech, you can look it up with Martin Luther King talking about that. But he hit it right in the exact when it comes to this economic deathbed that we are under, being under the United States, being oppressed 100% and economically oppressed. Because now we see it in our time frame that you can come to a country, not work at all, not be a part of the system at all, and get funding allocated solely for you and your people coming into the country in order for you to be financially stable and sound in this country. We see that 100%. You know, not to mention the money that they send for their foreign affairs as well. So, United States has shown us, let's say it the right way, the colonizers have shown us that they'll give money to anybody that is not us. They'll help anybody that is not us economically. As long as you don't got melanated skin, as long as you ain't a melanated person, a black person, an Aboriginal Negro, they'll give you whatever you need to get financially stable in the United States or in any other country that is not melanated. They'll make sure that they can help you and give you foreign affairs money 100%. This is just what it is. And in that, what do we supposed to do as Negroes, as the true American Aboriginals? What do we supposed to do on our own land now that we are coming back to our senses on who we are and what has happened to us in the sense of us being at home and not being from Africa or anywhere else? How do we deal with this reality of being under a government who's going to constantly, continuously keep us under economic destruction, economic oppression, where we cannot never get ahead economically and everyone else can actually get state, federal, and United States government assistance? How do we compete with that? What do we do when we got all our celebrities, all our wealthy people who started off with talent signing contracts to never ever come and help their nation of people as a nation? How do we get ahead? Because if we can't produce wealthy people that's willing to help their own nation as a nation, not individual, as a nation, to build economic growth, and we can't get no help from the state, federal government, or United States government, and we have no one to represent us in these fields to be able to get any type of resources or economic growth for our own communities, for our own people, allocated just solely for Aboriginal Negroes, just solely for foundational Aboriginal Negroes of America, Black Americans alone, then how do we get ahead? How do we compete? What do the future look like for us economically if we can't get no type of stimulus that all the other nations are able to get? We know the colonizers straight because the system is set up for them. It's their system, it's their face, it's the image of them. So when you go to the banks, when you go to the hospital, when you go to the federal government, the grants, you name it, is all in the image of the colonizers. So we know they're straight, and the colonizers are invaders who invaded the country. So in turn, immigrants to the country, thus other immigrants coming to the country, they all have something in common against us. And that's that they are the foreigners coming to our land and getting an economic floor by working together against us. That's what we see. That's the reality of what's going on. And in turn, they're mechanizing their system to demonize us as the criminals and the lowlifes and degenerates and the ratchet so-called ones in the country to mass incarcerate us, even though we're not the ones committing the most crimes from what the federal census of ethnic arrest says. We got to put that out there, because then that means what being pushed is a demonization. Is not necessarily true that we are the criminals. So with that stated, what is our move? What can we do as a nation of people? Where is the church at? Where is the leaders at? Where's the people that's supposed to put 10 toes down to be able to make things happen for our people? Are they all under contracts and under oaths to where they're not going to do anything for our nation of people? Because individual don't mean crap. Individual is broken fingers. We as a collective is a power, a strength. So with that stated, what do we supposed to do? How do we get ahead if everything is set up against us? This is the reality. And don't say go get a job, because you got to go get a job by asking the Latinos. You got to go get a job by asking the Asians, the Chinese, the colonizers, everybody but you, because you don't own businesses, you don't have warehouses, you don't have companies. So you can't really get a job because you can't go to yourself to get the job. So how do you get ahead? You can't open up your own business if you can't get any type of seed capital to start the business. So how do you get ahead? Not to mention, even if you start from nothing, you are the only one in the country seem to have to be subjected to police reality when it comes to the licensing and so on, because you can't vendor without a license, but others can. Others can come to the country and vendor without any type of documents in order to vendor, but you can't. So how do you get ahead? How do we bring any type of stability and growth to our children, for our children, if everything is set up to keep us oppressed? Because that's what really is what it's about. This is what's really going on. Y'all want to vote black. Voting black don't mean nothing. That don't mean nothing. I don't care how many black imageries, black faces you put into office. If they're not willing to do nothing for you in your communities, then we like some type of, I can't even say the word right now because I don't want to, to damage the video. But the reality is we just out of our mind. Because at the end of the day, if we just going to vote for nothing, then we expect nothing, to get nothing, to go nowhere with nothing. That's the reality to it. And thinking we going to vote because, it's the first black woman or the first black man without no tangibles behind it goes to show why we in ghetto slums and hoods, guys. Because voting don't work that way. And how do we save our babies and bring things to our babies if we can't allocate for resources, allocate for economic growth in order to help our babies in the future, for them to have things, for us to be able to hire our own and feed our own? How do we do this when we don't even got no grocery stores to feed our own families, to feed our own nation, to feed our own people? We going to other nations' grocery stores. Where is our reality when it comes to dealing with this real truth about what is happening to us as a whole, as a people, as a nation of our own? Where do we stand? Or are we too cowardly now? Or are we too uneducated now to understand what this race is really about as a nation of people with all these other races around us? What are we doing? Because we can't compete against the state, the federal government, and United States government giving out money solely to individual nations to help them get an economic floor, but not doing nothing for us. We cannot compete. No matter how much you think we cannot compete. Because our wealthy and rich done signed contracts to not help their own nation. And if they're not going to help us, and the state, the federal government and the government not going to help us, then we hit. And with that, I just don't get it. I just don't understand it. But that is the question. You let me know. Peace, peace.